You ready to rock?
Yes, I am ready.
Hello there and welcome to today's video in which I'm joined by my partner Ian and we're talking about how we met because it is a question that comes up fairly regularly on my channel, so we're just going to talk about it today. So firstly, if you're new to the channel, I'm Lizzie and I'm autistic and also have ADHD, and Ian is an ADHDer, so it's kind of all about neurodivergent dating, really.
So, me and Lizzie, or Lizzie and I, whichever way you should say that, we met in 2008, which, if my maths are correct, that's 18 years ago. So,
it's mad. It doesn't seem that long at all.
None of this may be relevant to anybody watching at home in 2026. So, bear that in mind, I would say. So we met, as I said, in 2008 on Match.com, which was obviously we met online, and in 2008 things were a bit different to maybe how they're perceived now. So I think it was a bit it felt quite shocking to tell people that we'd met,
because I don't doubt a lot of neurodivergent people were meeting online back then.
I think there was definitely a lot less people online, I think.
Yeah.
And then we got into conversation online, and it was clear that we had a lot of shared interests, a lot of shared special interests, but shared actual just interests as well. So we're into a lot of similar things, which in some ways you'd hope, because we're both similar age, even though you look a lot younger than I do. See,
I don't think so.
So it was we quickly had a really good rapport, and we used to message each other quite regularly. Over, I think it was about the course of a month, probably.
Yeah.
And then I'd always look forward to getting a message from you. That reminds me, that was a period where you disappeared because you had some technical issue, and
we hadn't even spoken at all at that point. I think I'd received a message from you and I wasn't able to respond to it just because the website just didn't allow me to at all, even though I'd paid for a subscription. And I think I complained to them. I think I cancelled my account, or certainly closed it down for a few days, because I was just so annoyed by it. But I can't remember what happened, but I think I was able to deduce that I had an issue with cookies, so I cleared down my cookies, and for whatever reason I was allowed to talk to you at that point.
So that was interesting. Could have been very different. Ooh.
I think the other interesting point from back then was you made comment on the photo that I used.
Oh yeah, you used quite a strange photo. That you looked, I think you looked quite, well, it reminds me about something else when we first met in person. You looked quite grumpy, which I guess in some ways, given what, when we first met, which is quite interesting, I was maybe prepared for it by the photo. So yeah. I remember thinking, okay, she doesn't look particularly happy in the photo, but she looks nice. And then obviously I'd spoken to you virtually, and I thought, I've got a lot of it. At one point felt a bit uncanny that I thought you'd been designed to, sort of be a catfish or something. To say, I'm drinking Leffe blonde Belgian beer, and I was thinking, that's what I'm drinking.
Yeah, that was weird, yeah.
So there was a lot of, definitely.
I think the photo thing was interesting because I'm not a photograph person. I don't take a lot of photographs at all. So I think I just took a quick snap, because obviously you have to put photos on these kinds of websites. But yeah, I guess I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. So, but yeah, it was representative because I'm pretty grumpy. Or look pretty grumpy. And also, you were basically the first person I'd ever spoken to online. I think there was somebody else actually. I talked about some movies or whatever, but you were the first proper person that I'd spoken to online. So It felt very much like I'd gone onto Match.com, pressed add to carts, and checked out, and that was it. So I think I was the absolute rarity in, basically the first person you speak to is, the one that kind of is for you, really.
So we tied that. I guess we've been talking for let's say a month, and then I thought, well, it'd be nice to actually meet up in person. And we both lived in the same town, which was also a great benefit. So,
and weirdly, around the corner from each other,
as it turned out, yes. So
we'd use the same local shop, and
we
everything.
would have used the same local shop. We could have met each other in the same local shop, and we actually drank in the same pub.
Yeah.
So time came to meet up in person, and I thought, well, it'd be nice. Ideally, I'd just like to go to the pub, but it'd be nice to go somewhere a bit more, I don't know, sophisticated, less threatening. So I suggested go for a coffee, and you immediately said, "I'm not doing a coffee."
Well, for me, I'm very much a socially anxious person. So the idea of somebody that I don't know saying to me, let's meet up and have a coffee or a tea or whatever, would have been just completely anxiety inducing, because I've always struggled, particularly when I'm feeling nervous, to know what to do with my hands, and I'm just very clumsy anyway. So the thought of having a coffee with somebody that I didn't know, I could just envisage myself spilling hot coffee all over myself or over you or something like that. So I thought, there's no way I can do that. So instead I suggested going to the pub because I knew it was the kind of environment that I feel most comfortable in. I've always needed a drink socially, so I was able to access alcohol as well. So for me, it was the only way that I'd be able to meet somebody, certainly somebody that I didn't really know.
So we arranged to meet in the pub that we would both drink in anyway.
Yeah.
But this pub, and I made sure I got there early, being a gentlemanly, so that I would be waiting and make sure they didn't arrive and there'd be no one there. So I was there early, and then you were running a bit late, but not too late, which was fine. But I was standing outside the pub.
I just need to interject there, because I am always an early person. As an autistic person, I am always early. But because I was so nervous about this day, I just thought, I don't want to be waiting around for somebody in case they're late, because that would be really stressful for me. So for once I allowed myself to be a little bit late. So there was, a reason behind that. And I can understand now that I know that I'm autistic, why I would do that kind of behaviour, really. But usually speaking, I would be super early for something.
So just on this instance, then you were late, a bit late, not nothing too serious, just a few minutes late, and I saw you approaching from over the road with headphones on, and earbuds, and then when we made eye contact, you looked sort of quite grumpy, like in your photo, and I thought, oh, that's her.
That's the one for me.
She doesn't look too impressed with me, but let's see how this goes. And then
this is so weird, because it's only through you now that I know that I kind of pull grumpy faces, really. So it's
that was quite
very
funny.
Obvious resting bitch face.
And then the pub was really too busy and sort of horrible inside.
Yeah.
Even though it's a really nice pub, it can just be so popular.
I think was there a sports event on or something
there was
day?
Sports. There was rugby. They were playing rugby. That's why it was horrible inside. So we went to another pub which we thought would be quite quiet, but that was busy. They had a horrible band on, like a metal band, I think, which is not really conducive to having a conversation. So we walked, and that was the opposite end of town, although it's only like 5 minutes, but we walked down to that pub, and then we walked back up to another pub, which we managed to get a table in and get a drink and sit down, and then start having a chat about various things. And so we drank several pints, let's say, several pints, which I was quite surprised that you were drinking pints.
Well, yeah, I could hold my drink at one point in my life.
We were young and we had no allergies or
no allergies,
worries.
So I could happily have a few pints.
Several pints later, and we had a great night, and had to throw us out of the pub at the end. And we knew that we'd had a great first date and hit it off. So I think we knew we wanted to see each other again.
Yeah.
So we still we texted him obviously by then because we'd exchanged numbers. And everything. And I think rented to go to the cinema, and I drove round to your house, which wasn't very far away from my house.
Yeah, my little flats.
And picked you up, and you were surprisingly nervous. Given it was,
I think I was quite visually nervous. I sort of felt really.
You were having a bit of a.
Didn't have any alcohol to rely on, and I thought, gosh, this is. I knew I wanted to see you, and I was really happy to see you, but I felt so nervous. I've just never been good with this kind of stuff at all.
So as we got into the car and sat down together, I said, well, it's all right because we know we like each other, so and it's fine if you're nervous, but underneath it all, we know we like each other. And
I was so grateful to hear that, because I thought, it's like you get where I'm at really, and how I'm feeling. And also, I remember feeling anxiety with that day because I've got a thing about cars really, in that I see cars as tools, and whenever I've had a car, it's just always been an old car, and I just don't get the pretentiousness of cars really. And I was absolutely terrified of you turning up in like a really swanky posh car. Just remember this vividly, and I was just so worried about it, and I thought, oh God, I don't want to sit in a posh car because I just don't understand why people have these kinds of cars really. And that's no slight on other people out there who might have a posh car, but for me, I feel really uncomfortable in them, really. And I was super pleased when you turned up in your car, which was a little battered
Honda Civic, which was quite old.
Yeah.
It was probably over 10 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I hadn't borrowed my friend's car. Who did occasionally lend me his company car, his BMW. So I would have turned up in a giant silver. I
would have been horrified.
Brand new BMW.
I feel most comfortable in old cars because I had an old smart car, Smart for 2 at the time. So I just, much prefer old cars because I see them as tools, and they can look visually appealing. I had an old Mini, which was my old car, and I loved that car. But new swanky cars, I just feel really uncomfortable in them.
So I think that was the one where after that, because I drove and we went to cinema and we didn't have much to drink, but we still had a great night and were able to.
I think we had a drink afterwards, didn't we? Talk about the film.
We discussed the film afterwards because they.
Show what the film is actually, because people will be asking.
It's in Bruges, right? Which might seem like, if anyone's seen In Bruges, it might really seem like a strange film. But I think it showed that we were both interested in actual cinema, that's out of the mainstream, maybe.
Yeah, although I think it is
kind of major.
Film,
it's not as if it's
it's not the rom-com that some people would go and see.
It is a sort of there is some romance in it, but it's slightly odd. So if you haven't seen it, recommend it. But
it's good.
As long as you don't mind violence.
It's kind of like a thriller, isn't it?
Yeah. So anyway, that was something that we were then able to go and discuss together in. They used to have a restaurant which had a sort of small bar area where people would have a drink waiting for their meals, but you could just go in and use it. So it was quite handy at the time.
Yeah.
You could go and have a quick drink after you'd seen the film, because you can't get alcohol in the cinema. And so after that, I think the rest,
as they say,
is history. Which brings us on to, I suppose, any tips.
Part two. Well,
Part two.
I'm reluctant to call them dating tips actually, because we're all different as autistic and ADHD people, and what works for one person really will not work for another one. But I thought it might be interesting just to talk about a few things that have really worked for us as a couple,
Yes.
and has really helped us in the long term. Really, we've been together 18 years now, which I never thought was possible. Certainly for myself, I never thought I'd end up in a really long-term relationship. So
Yeah.
it's amazing that we kind of met. Well, I think we were very lucky. We met each other.
Yeah, I guess that's you can't really give out dating advice or
No.
tips when we've only been on like the one date and that was successful. So it's not really sort of enough evidence to lend any weight to our opinion or advice. Anyway, with that said, we decided not to bother talking about any former relationships or any past history.
Yeah. Now, basically, through friends and work colleagues and stuff, I really noticed that a common theme would come up in relationships that, sometimes they'd get kind of wound up by their partner's ex's kind of situation, or maybe their partner would talk about their ex to uncomfortable levels. And I used to think, why are people doing that? They're just really winding their partner up kind of unfairly or unnecessarily. And I think also when you're first with somebody, you get a little bit obsessive for a while. You just want to see them, and they're the only person in your eyes, and you want that to feel kind of reciprocated. So I just thought, what, surely it's more sensible not to discuss your past with the person you're dating, or your partner. And it's just something that we've never done. And I didn't mean for it to be a long-term strategy, but it kind of has. And I think it just kind of lessens any, potential jealousy that arises, or thing like that. Really,
after 18 years, we're not on. Well, I'm not interested.
No, I'm not bothered.
Less interested now.
And I guess some people might say it's not particularly healthy, but it's really worked for us. So I'm not suggesting that other people to do this, but certainly for us, it's helped. And certainly in the early days, I'd say.
Definitely. The next bit of advice is to tell each other how we're feeling quite well, and we said this before as well. When we tell each other when we're grumpy, in particular, and why we're grumpy, and why. Hopefully, it's normally nothing to do with the other person. So.
No, I'm thinking about I might say to Ian, I feel really hormonal today, so if I'm grumpy, that's why. It's nothing to do with you, and I think it's really helps, because I think certainly as a neurodivergent person who struggles with rejection sensitivity dysphoria, I have done all my life, it's really nice to be able to have this information before my brain starts creating all sorts of scenarios that aren't true, so just to have that as a disclaimer, Lizzie, I'm not feeling great today, I'm grumpy, so it's nothing to do with you, so please don't take that on board. And I think that's been one of the most helpful things we've ever done with each other, really.
Yeah, and I think, and you've said it it just made me think of, you've said it to me before, where if I don't go out and do some cycling or physical exercise, I'll start to get like lower and lower, and you'll even tell me that I should go out and do some.
I can really see there's a real correlation between your exercise levels and your mental health, because I think you're actually pretty buoyant in your mental health.
Yeah.
One of the, in terms of people I've ever met, probably one of the,
I'm fairly level.
I can't think of the word. Yeah, you're fairly level actually. But whenever there's a dip, it's always basically because you've not been exercising as usual.
Yeah. So because of that, you're more than willing to accommodate the fact that I want to go out and do a bike ride or do a really long walk or something.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know as well that I'm getting a bit sort of, I don't know, I get sort of really, like say, my mood goes down because I'm feeling like I can't go out and exercise. And it's normally to do with some, work-related things or some commitments that I have to do, and it stops me being able to exercise. And then there might be some self-inflicted things like a hangover that stops me going out, and then that's got me in a bad mood. So that's really ties into that sharing with each other how we're feeling, and that it's not anything to do with the other person. And then if it is to do with the other person, then we would tell each other, but we tend not to get irritated by each other.
Yeah, but we'll always say in a polite way. Yeah. It's never, antagonistic or anything like that.
So I think I've got down that we have, and does this help our relationship? Maybe, yeah, it probably does, because it helps us deal with situations that we have a kind of complementary social skill sets.
Yeah, where we do.
Lizzie's very good at initiating the conversation in the polite and correct.
Years of masking.
Yeah, in the polite and correct way that I'm not very good at all. Yeah,
weirdly, I'm quite skilled at social small talk, even though I absolutely hate it. But I've always had, customer-facing jobs or jobs where I, had to deal with people. So I've learned how to do social small talk. So, I can do it, but it does get to a level where I'm like, I can't do any more now. I'm absolutely done, because I start forgetting what people have said to me as well, because although I can do small talk, generally speaking, I'm not always listening to what they're saying. So it does get a bit like, I don't know what to say now, because I've not picked up on all the threads that they've told me. So this is when you come in and you're able to carry on to kind of like middle length.
Yes, tag team in and take on the middle length of the conversation. Once it's established and settled down, I'm okay. But if you just have to start a conversation with me,
you're not the greatest at small talk. But we've been able to work out this kind of balance really. So it really helps me and no end of situations really.
That's worked quite well, and I guess it helps us maintain our stress levels, such as they are. So I've got home life, and we let the other person do the thing that they're good at in the, what would we say, the domestic running of our household.
Yeah, and I'm thinking here about a video that I did quite recently on autistic flow, and that can be a state where you're really trying to kind of induce this autistic flow. So it means getting into almost like a meditative state, and it ties in actually with creative flow as well. So once I'm in this zone, I'm able to think up all kinds of ideas and stuff. So it's a really nice state of mind for me to be in. But it doesn't need to be anything that I'm wholly interested in to bring about this autistic flow state. And I mentioned in that video that I can, get in the zone by cleaning the house. So on a Saturday, very often, although you do help out as well, I'm not doing the whole house myself, but I spend a good few hours really cleaning, and I really enjoy that. That whole kind of, the whole routine of it, because it really does help me get into this kind of flow state. So I know that it is essentially doing a load of house chores that, lots of people don't like doing, but I really enjoy bringing about this flow state through cleaning.
Unfortunately, since you're sort of food allergist, I used to do all the cooking, didn't I?
You did.
But now,
because I hate cooking.
You hate cooking, but you have to cook sort of specific things.
And you're a bit. Although you do cook me meals a couple during the week, I have to be quite careful about cross contamination and stuff. So it does mean sort of cooking for myself a lot now.
And I make the Sunday dinner when we occasionally have one. So we.
But you do all the kind of gardening, and you help to clean the house and stuff as well. But we do what kind of works for us, really, don't we?
Yeah. So nobody does a job that they don't like.
Yeah.
So, for example, I know you don't like peeling potatoes. So even I
Yeah,
will
there's
try and
some
peel the
things that,
potatoes.
I really don't like chopping potato.
Or making fish cakes.
Yeah, yeah, it's basically anything that involves kind of wet dough on your hands. Absolutely hate it in terms of sensory issues. So you'll help out with that as well.
Yeah. So I think the only other thing I've got on my list is that we do allow, as probably you could see through what we've said, but we allow each other to pursue our own interests as well. Parallel play, as I've
Yeah,
learned it's called from you,
yeah.
where um, I might be reading a novel, but you might be watching something on TV, or you might be
Yeah, and we've always done this, and I didn't even realise that there was a term for this, parallel play, and I think it was Liesel actually that pointed it out, and it was just like an eye opener for me. And Liesel often comments on the channel, and I've done a video with Liesel, also known as Dr. Liesel as well. But yeah, she pointed this out, and I thought, yeah, gosh, this makes so much sense because we like the security of being in often the same room together, but doing completely different things, really. So there's like a comfort there, but we can, yeah, we're able to fully immerse ourselves in what we want to
and
do, really.
one of the reasons that we had to do this as well was because Jean Paul
Yeah.
wouldn't let us not be in the same room together.
Yeah, it's like Jean Paul likes parallel play as well,
He said we
really.
had to be in the same room,
Yeah,
otherwise he wasn't happy.
because if you went into the dining room, he'd be constantly marching between the two and,
Yeah,
scratching the walls and
and I'd
stuff and just being super annoying.
hear you two fall out, and I'd have to come
Yeah,
through and restore order.
yeah.
So
Parallel play, Dad.
yeah, so
Oh,
that was something as well. So yeah, that was one of the reasons why it was so important that we could do
yeah.
that. Otherwise,
Parallel play with the three of us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I still like I still like this sense of you being around, whether it's in the same room or downstairs together. It's really
yeah.
comforting, really.
So that's all I've got. Other than I think you being really patient and being able to put up with me and all of my mess and
Well,
chaos.
likewise, really. Yeah, I think that was a bit of a learning curve for me as well because my flat was super organised and super tidy, super clean. So, um, yeah, that was a bit of a learning curve, really, because you're, by your own admission, a bit more kind of untidy,
Yeah,
really. You are clean,
yeah.
but you're kind of prone to leave stuff
I
about, really.
abandon tasks and forget about them.
Yeah, because you didn't know you had
Yeah.
ADHD till
So
sort of I realised that I was autistic and got a diagnosis.
and
So
that if I took the test with ADHD, I would pass with flying colours.
I
So
I don't doubt, really, but we've spoken about this before. But you're happy to remain undiagnosed,
yeah,
aren't you?
yeah. So so I think that's everything on my list.
So yeah, I hope that answers your question. If you were one of the people that asked how we met, I think ultimately we were just very, very lucky, and certainly for me to be able to go onto Match.com and match with basically the first person that I talked to is, I don't doubt, a complete rarity, really. So
So
um,
we both were very lucky and got what we wanted straight away. But it's perhaps a simple story, isn't it? Just
yeah,
we both met online and really got on, and then met up, and it really went really well. And then we stayed together for the next 18
yeah,
years, and everything's great. So
yeah.
um, that's
So
the
yeah,
story, anyway.
just very lucky. But yeah, we've just managed to spend 30 minutes telling you, about it. So anyway, I hope you found it useful in some way, or at least interesting. And yeah, that's going to be it for today. So thank you, Ian, for joining us
My
again.
pleasure.
If you'd like Ian and I to discuss anything in future, actually, in a future video, by all means, let us know down in comments, as I'm sure you'd be happy to join us again in the future.
Yes, I would be happy to join.
Fantastic.
What you're supposed to say? Give it a like if you got
So
this far.
yes, so yeah, so give it a like if you got this far. Comments would always be appreciated, and if you don't know what to say, leave an orange heart down below for friendship. And yeah, hype as well if you want to.
Yeah, you can hype it, can't you?
Yep, and yeah, I guess we'll see you again soon. Bye
Bye.
bye.